I think that what's important when walking away from swimming is the realization that, you're more than just a swimmer. Your identity is not swimming. You're much more than that. So for me, walking away, I think what I've learned is that, I guess through college, even through high school a little bit, is that, with this loss of sport, there's so many things to be excited about. And because you're losing one thing doesn't mean that you're losing everything.
Welcome back to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a smaller crew today because Luke has COVID, but we've got Dr. John Mullen and NCAA standout, multi-time Pac-12 champion. A lot of people go to college for 6 years. Tommy, they're called doctors. Grant Shoults, thanks for joining us, freshly retired, and we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, man, just wanted to, react and reflect some for you, because I think, all of us as swimmers go through this stage of life, where what we've committed for most people, at a high level, our lives to, your life suddenly takes maybe the biggest turn that it's ever taken outside of making a decision to go to college. And yet here you are kind of in that moment. So I wanted to just get your, immediate take on, I guess immediate, you retired in March or April, right before World Championship trials, but after NCAAs, having gone through quite the long college career of 6 years, which is a really special thing. So, what led to the decision of retirement? And let's maybe start there with what kind of factored into the decision and kind of led you to where you are now.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's a great question. So there's a lot of things that led me to essentially retiring. But just to clarify, like when I say retire, it's like I'm retiring from competitive swimming. I still enjoy swimming, and that Monday morning after like my retirement swim that happened on a Saturday, I was back in the water at morning practice with the guys. So I think that I might have a different definition of retirement than others, but yeah, I definitely am retired from competitive swimming. And what really led me to this place is the understanding of where my body is. So I did have 2 surgeries during college, and although I tried to convince myself during the later half of my competitive career that like I was 100% and that I could do anything, I really knew deep down that I was working at like 90 to 95% of what my body could actually achieve. And so knowing that like when I grow up, I want to like, throw a ball with my kids. I want to be an active person. I think that it was just the right decision to leave the competitiveness and leave that competitive field for now. And then really move on to the next step. And I guess the second factor is like academics and preparation for med school. So that is the route that I'm going, and logistically looking at the way I wanted to finish my last quarter at Stanford, how I want to finish my research, my EMTing, and prepping for this next step in life. It was just the right decision. I didn't think that going to a meet that I most likely wouldn't have, I wouldn't have probably made the world championship team. We have great middle distance swimmers now. And then 2, even if I made that meet, I wouldn't be going to it because of other commitments. So for those reasons, it was a pretty easy decision, but I wanted to make sure that my last experience swimming was a positive one. At NC's, I like hands down, that was my most special race that I've ever swam in. Having the guys around me, finishing out well, giving everything I had, hitting the wall, knowing that I did everything possible to like finish on that note. That being said, that was like the most painful race I've ever been in. That was horrible. So it was like, imagine like, your last swim ever, and you're swimming 66 laps. And it's like, okay, like I get it. Like this is my last race. It can end now. And it just went on and on and on. And it was so like, I love doing it for the guys. It was so miserable. Like for any NCAA swimmer that swims like your last race as like a miler, like find a different way to end your swimming career, honestly. So that led me to going back to Mission Viejo to swim one last race, a little bit shorter, which was a 400 free. And that was probably like the only time in my career that like I really didn't care about the results. It was just like having fun. Happened to put up a decent time as well, so that was like cool. But like that wasn't the focus. It was just going out, being in a place that I can retire in a happy state, so that when I go and see a pool, I'm not just reminded of like 66 laps of pain. I'm reminded of like being around friends and family. So sorry, that was a very long answer to why I retired and kind of what it took to get there. But yeah, what TLDR, like it was academics and my body.
Yeah, well, I'm just laughing because John and I swam 50s and 100s, so there's no way that we would be swimming a mile as our last race.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's for sure. So when I hear you talk about, that last race, other than all the 66 laps, we used to start the podcast asking, because we had a lot of retired swimmers, what else they remember from their last race. But you have the 400 as your last official race. What do you remember about that race?
Yeah, so it was cool that I got to go back to Mission Viejo and finish with the club team that I grew up swimming for. I think what I'll remember most is probably the people that like did show up and like that were there to see it. I got to swim in front of some of my immediate family, like and my grandma, who hadn't seen me race since I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. I got to swim in front of Coach Rose. That was really special because the last time that we were together was Olympic trials in 2016. Had my high school swim coach. So that was pretty special as well. And then being able to like just swim in front of like extended family, which is like the Natador family. That was just really, really special, really key. And I think that that's what I'll remember most about not just that race, but also like the swimming community itself. And like my career is like, you post times and like you have these experiences while racing, but what you ultimately build are like these relationships and these connections with the people outside of the pool that help you achieve your goals in the pool. So that is probably my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, what do you? I think that it sounds like you're in a really healthy place with your retirement for a lot of reasons. We've had this conversation before where I think there's some conflicting opinions amongst people we've talked to, friends of ours, about like whether or not it's good to know going into your last meet that you've got something else that you've got your sights set on, or if it's better to have literally nothing planned in your life. And because that gives you sort of a safety net. And there's some people that say, well, if you know that there's a safety net, then you're not fully committed, right? You're not fully bought into this. But you seem like, you took the victory lap, you went back home to retire as the home club team. Like, you want to wear a Mission Viejo cap into the Hall of Fame, right? So like, so that's pretty special. Do you feel like that? I don't know. What are your thoughts on doing it the way that you did it versus kind of all eggs in one basket?
Yeah, I think that's a loaded question. Hearing what you're saying about other athletes and other individuals that like go into the retirement swim knowing it or not knowing it. I don't know if I can speak to what is the best way to go about it, but for me personally, from my experiences, I was very close to retiring like 3 or 4 times. After my junior year of college, after my senior year of college, after my 5th year of college, and then now. And some were due to like mental health reasons, some were due to injuries, some were due to COVID. You name it. I was kind of already in that state of like should I retire? Should I not retire? Should I transfer? Like, what should I do? And going through that process multiple times and seeing like getting on the other side of that decision and being like, okay, no, like this is what I want to do. I want to finish my career on this note. But going through the process of making that decision, making the decision for like the fourth time or like the last time, and knowing definitively, yes, this is how I want to end it. It just made the process and the decision like that much clearer and that much easier. So for me, having that experience going through the process multiple times, I think is aiding me in this transition.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I think what I wish for all swimmers is that they finish their career and are in a healthy spot with a relationship with the pool and being in the water. And, I recently ran into a retired athlete who was once a world champion. And she told me, like, no, I don't swim at all anymore because the only thing that it was about for me was competition, which I totally respect. But there's some people that reach that point of discouragement or frustration or whatever toward the end of their career, and it's like there's so much involved in sitting on top of their relationship with the water and swimming that they kind of stay away from the pool because of that. So, like, I don't know, I'm happy for you that you're in a place where you want to get back in, and you already did, and it's like, sweet, that's the way that it should be, because it's hard to think about doing that, spending so many hours doing it for so long and not leave in a positive light.
Wait, so Brian, so you still swim masters, that's correct?
Yeah, I'll like get in and practice with masters, and that's kind of how the group of guys that we do this podcast with, we all met through master swimming. So yeah, and now we don't all live in the same place and do masters together, but yeah, most of my training is solo right now, but I do swim with a couple different masters groups as well.
Very cool. And Dr. John, how about you?
Oh yeah, so I swim a good amount right now, but reflecting back on whenever we talk about last races, it just brings up memories of kind of how my competitive collegiate career ended. And similar to Grant, I'm just fortunate I ended on a positive note. But even saying that, I took multiple years off. I was definitely in the I'm not swimming again, I'm burnout, that type of mindset. But no, I swim a good amount right now, probably 3 to 5 times a week, from unorganized masters group practices, the masters practices where there's no one really close or around the same time. But I think finding that love for the water and being in a good mental place. I mean, for the longest time, there's been the conversation of life after sport and all the issues about life after sport, whether it's mentally where athletes are after it or even just physically. But there are huge things to still improve with life after sport and just ending someone's career on a high note and keeping them interested not only in their sport, but also in just fitness in general. Too often people will end their collegiate sport and not work out for a long time, of not just their sport, but of anything. So obviously the mental barriers and the mental health is an issue there. So like Brian said, I'm happy to hear, especially after someone dealing with surgeries and shoulder issues, that you still love the sport and enjoy it. Can't wait to see you at Lake Tahoe swimming across it.
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, hopefully you develop a better relationship with it than John, though, because John has to listen to music literally every time you swim.
Oh, do you put on like those headphones while you swim?
Yes, I do, and I have no shame about it. I used to wear the foam goggles when I swam at Purdue, so people have been calling me a wreck swimmer for the longest time, even when I was faster. So I'm fine to be in there with my music. And hey, I will honestly admit, I really think colleges and elite swimmers should utilize it a little more. If you can have your favorite songs in there and you're doing like a repeat set, boom, you're skipping, then you find your favorite song, boost that energy up, and get you through that next repetition. So laugh all you want, B. I'll get you there one day, though. Didn't you try it out? You said that.
I make fun, but I want to set, but I just wanted to have Bluetooth technology because I'm not loading songs onto.
You don't load 90s rap music on there like I do, because that's only MP3s I have anymore.
Little known fun fact, John is also a rap connoisseur. Okay, Grant, I want to know some of the things that you're going to remember most from your career. Because, like, for me, I know that there are sets that I remember that I just tore up. I remember a 2450 set that was like kind of 200 free pace that I nailed my freshman year. Are there any practice sets or training days that you'll look back to and be like, man, like that you'll remember forever as like a standout day?
I'm trying to recall, but I think that something I really excelled at was having a short-term memory when it came to practices. And like, yes, I have a logbook and I have some practices in there that I wrote down for like way back when, but unless I dig through those, like I really don't remember much. I'll remember guys getting up and doing suited swims and the times that they went and just being like mind blown. But for whatever reason, even if it's just the practice before or even the morning of, and I'm there for the afternoon, I won't remember the set or I won't remember the practice. So no, I don't. But some of the sets that I remember,
you'll just remember the ice bags on your shoulders as you walked away from the pool.
Yeah, honestly. But some of the sets that I remember other people doing was True Sweetster doing 4 or 5,000s on 50 minutes. Another one I'll remember is Andrei Minikov doing a dive 75 free and going 31 in practice in the Speedo. Yeah, those are some good ones. Andre breaking the 200 free team record in practice, which was a 132. So I'm not going to say what he went, but he went faster than that in practice. And ultimately, that's why we put him on the 4x200 relay at NCs, because we knew that he could go pretty fast. So sets like, or I guess those aren't really sets, but those are just like swims that I'll remember. Like it's impossible to forget those because the whole team was going wild. Yeah.
And you had to put him on that so we could all look at him just lay on the deck afterwards like he had been killed for, I think, the rest of the relay, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he looked like a soldier that just got shot. He was
there you go.
He was on the ground. So that was good. But I mean, it was pretty amazing like what he did that entire meet. So the dude can do anything he wants to. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, what about just college experience? Anything that's you could share publicly? What do you think are some of the key takeaways that you'll always remember from your college career?
My sophomore year, I lived with 4 swimmers, and that was probably my most favorite room setup that I had all of college. And remind you, I've been in college for 6 years. So I've had a lot of different experiences. And that was by far like the most fun I had. We were living in like a suite setup. So we each had our own room and then we had a common area, and it was just like constantly being around the guys. Just a lot of memories that were made there. So that sticks out to me.
John, what about you? Actually, I'm curious about you. What sticks in your brain today? Because like you and I are both far removed from walking away. And when I think about that, I'm like, the thought that just popped into my head was, I remember shenanigans with the guys. One day we got this water balloon launcher, and we packed a Forerunner with water balloons. And with the Forerunner, you could like put the back down. The back window was retractable. So we drove around with 2 of us in the back seat. And I remember pulling up to Fred Bousquet's house, and he was sitting in his bedroom window on the 2nd floor, and the window was open, but it had a screen in front of it. And I remember us just like launching a water balloon that hit the screen and just splattered all over Fred. And he was like yelling out the window as we just peeled out of the driveway. That's the kind of stuff that I think about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at. And Grant kind of mentioned the teammates and the team aspect of it all. And, I mean, most of mine are probably not meant to be shared. I'm not sure what the statute of limitation on initiation is nowadays, or I know that's not an appropriate thing to discuss, but those were some of the best memories I have. I mean, as far as other things, remembering people's practices, we had one guy my freshman year. So in my freshman year, somehow they put me in two fly, did well, made my national cut. So I ended up getting national cut with my yards time because that was still a thing. And we had one other guy, our best flyer, just miss it. And he was a senior, and it was like his goal to make that national cut. So for 5 days in a row, our coach brought officials in over the summer for him to try to get the 200 fly national record. And I would go watch him do this. And I was on day 5, I was the only one there because he was getting worse every day. He was adding like a second every time. But I'll never forget that. And I was just like, God, I can't believe he's going again at it, especially as a freshman, right? This guy was a senior, someone I looked up to, and I would still look up to it. It was, like I said, he didn't get it, but just the determination and willing to step back up there after failure over and over. Man, that vividly stands out to me as like this is a great guy, but also a great moment just to kind of set an example. And I think, like you said, the teammates and those things are the things I remember.
Yeah, that just makes me think about last chance meets. Last chance meets are so sad. Yeah, they're so sad, so quiet. Probably great practice for COVID because they're like nobody's cheering hardly. But you have that rare good swim. So Grant, what do you think you'll take with you from your swimming career besides some well-beaten shoulders? That's not the obvious, like your work ethic and the camaraderie. Is there anything maybe that's not obvious that you think you've learned or developed as you've kind of gone through this commitment to a singular thing for so long that you'll take with you that you can use in your life?
Yeah, I think that what's important when walking away from swimming is the realization that, you're more than just a swimmer. Your identity is not swimming. You're much more than that. So for me, walking away, I think what I've learned is that, I guess through college, even through high school a little bit, is that, with this loss of sport, there's so many things to be excited about, and because you're losing one thing doesn't mean that you're losing everything. So I think that like mentally being able to understand that is just a massive undertaking, but it's just something that I've learned along the way.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this then, because so I'm curious if there is anything that you had hoped to do, had hoped to achieve, whether it be a time or a win or something that eluded you in your swimming career that that you might think about years later. And I'll give you my example. So it still kind of haunts me that I never went 48 in the 100 free. I was 49.1. I did it at a taper meet that year. I was 49 multiple times in season at multiple meets, and I wasn't, a fast in season swimmer. Usually I dropped a lot of time at a taper meet. So like to this day, I believe I had a 48 mid to low in me, and I know what my 49.1 swim felt like, and it felt like kind of a flat into the meet kind of swim. And in comparison to prior swims, I know what that flat swim felt like compared to the swim where I absolutely ripped it, right? And so just based on that, I feel like I left that on the table, and I walked away not having done that. And so, and truthfully, I think that I channel that by like competing in triathlon and doing other things that I'm trying to get the best out of myself, because I want that payoff. I want that payoff of I put in all the time, and therefore I want to see what I was capable of. Are there any things for you that kind of strike a chord when I say that, that, you really wanted, but you may be at peace with it walking away, but yet still were left on the table?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think that it's tough looking at my times and seeing that my best 200 free was from high school. I think that one is just like, oh man, like you're kidding. But I'm not like the first person to have that happen to them. And so that doesn't get me as down as much. It's just like, like shit, like wish I had that one. But my 500 time is 4:10:02. And so that's a pretty unsatisfying number, knowing that I was 0.03 away from breaking 4:10. And that was my sophomore year. So I was like, I'll get this, but I'm not upset about it, because what started to happen at NCs is you had those top guys being able to go like pretty easy in prelims, right? Like the Townley Haas's, Felix Arbach, even like Flim Nuth, but he would still kill it in the mornings. But you had these guys that could go kind of easy and then kill it in finals. And what's happened as of late is everyone goes hard in the 500 free in prelims. It is like one of the most competitive races. And so I think that because of that probably didn't help my cause for trying to break 4:10, because you have to set it in the morning, set it at night. So in my mind, if I was able to, take it easy in prelims, or like not have prelims, I know I could have broken that barrier. So that does eat me up a little bit, knowing that I didn't break 4:10 ever, and joining that like exclusive list. But apparently now the exclusive list is under 408. So
Right.
in a number of years, I'm not really sure if it matters or not, but for me, that is one barrier that I wish I had broken.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, times keep progressing. Brian and I can talk about how fast things have gotten, where most of these times now, like you said, it's more just what it meant to us, right? And it's funny what these barriers are. Breaking 20 point was me. My best was 20.07, never got under. So that one definitely sticks with me. And it's funny, like you said, Brian, it's like, I think every swimmer does this, the perfect race, right? You have the splits, you have what it could have been, and what you should have been. I wonder how many people feel like that they did get their perfect race, or if anyone really does.
Well, I mean, so I feel like I did. I feel that way about a 50 butterfly. But I never got it in the 100 free, and that was the event that gave me the best chance to make the Olympic team. So sure. I think, but yeah, I do feel like I at least checked the box on that, and that's kind of why it doesn't eat at me every day. It's just like sometimes there are things that you go, nah, God, I just wish I was a 409 guy, But and the thing is, like you said, you were a 409 guy, that. It's just like it never showed up on the results page, but like clearly you trained well enough to do it, and and then it's just like and you can walk away at peace knowing that. So
yeah, something that I did accomplish before I guess something I've accomplished. I wouldn't say before I retired, because one actually came post, but broke 20 in practice. So that was fun. It was from a relay dive in the 50, but it was one of those things is like, I'm not leaving. I'm not like going to stop swimming until I do this. I am a 24-year-old man. I need to be able to break 20. And so for me, having my sprint game not very good, I was like, okay, we're doing this today. And it was like 1992. And then actually last Saturday, I was at practice. I'll get in like with the guys like Mondays or Saturdays or sometimes Fridays, just like depending on the week, my schedule, my classes. And they're on Friday, they're like, oh, come on, you got to race with us. And I was like, I'll race if the athletic trainer puts on a suit and races with me. So obviously the athletic trainer didn't put on a suit, so I didn't race that day. But on Saturday, I said, you know what, screw it, I'll do a 50. And my best time is like 24:1. And I was like, this would be something. I could finally say I've broken 24. And sure enough, went 23:8. So got to check that off as an accomplishment. I have been doing like a lot of power in the weight room. So I think that hopefully this is the beginning of a new sprint life for me in the non-competitive sector of swimming. But, it is good walking to the sunset, getting these 50 times down.
It just sounds so much like a distance swimmer the distance swimmer who years just wanted to be in the sprint group and then had to suffer through his 66 laps of his last college race. Actually, I think is that the swimming equivalent of being able to dunk? That's what it sounds like.
I think so, but I don't know. I feel like there's no height factor in swimming. Like in basketball, if you're like 7 foot and you're not dunking, it's like, dude, right? But in swimming, it's like if you're 7 foot and you're like not breaking 20, it's like, why are you swimming? So I don't know, but I think for the elusiveness factor, that's probably a good analogy.
Man, I thought for a second you were saying you went 19 flat start, and I was like, man, throw salt in the wound over here at me, man. You just hop up and do it. But yeah, welcome to the under 20 point with a relay start club. I'm glad you're a part of it, Grant.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
There you go. You got to get your strength coach. I think Justin, who used to be on the podcast here, he's helping out as a strength coach or strength coach intern at Stanford with the men's team. You'll have to get him to do some distance sets with you.
Well, ironically, he was the person that I asked to put on a suit, and he was the one that didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I figured it wouldn't be that far away to be him. So, yeah. I know you can take him in a 50, that's for sure.
I don't know. I haven't seen him race. I won't assume anything.
I know you can take him in a 50. I'll just leave it there.
Hey, Grant, do you think you'll ever develop mastery? Well, I hope that you do as you're going to med school. But do you ever? I mean, think about like how many hours you've put into swimming and how many strokes, how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of strokes you've taken, or maybe a million. Think you've taken over 1 million strokes? Do you think that you'll ever develop mastery in another thing the same way you developed mastery in swimming?
I hope so. I mean, if I'm going in medicine, I really hope I'm some kind of master.
Me too.
Yeah. Sorry?
That's me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many strokes I've taken. Definitely taken a lot of strokes. I have like the Garmin watch, so it like keeps track of like a lot of data points. I mean, I swam over 1 million meters this year, so I must be somewhere over 1 million strokes.
I was gonna say definitely over 1 million strokes. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
I've never even looked at an entire year and seen what the volume was. Yeah. Well, hey, maybe with your budding sprint career, there's an ISL in your future.
Is there an ISL in the future?
Yeah. I'm just proposing that maybe there is now that you've got the sprint prowess.
But I think he's asking what you're wondering, Brian. Will there ever be an ISL again? Dun, dun, dun.
Great. Yeah. Who knows? If there's any money, if this war could end, maybe we'd see. But that's so crazy. All right, Grant. Just a few rapid fire questions for you. What's the hardest race in swimming?
200 back.
Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
You may have mentioned this already because you gave some of the Minikov examples, but what's the most impressive feat that you've seen someone else do?
This year at Pac-12s, we had a butterfly swimming the 100 butterfly. I guess that makes sense. Okay, whatever. But swimming the 100 butterfly and hits the first wall, dislocates his shoulder, like a subluxation. Continues the race, pops back in, still beats a guy. So that was without a doubt the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
See, that's when we need the like elimination points or whatever they are in the ISL in college swimming or wherever that was. Yeah. Yeah, that's insult to injury. I hope that guy never lived that down. Are you the fittest right now? or, you know, in your last year of swimming that you think you'll ever be in your life?
No, I'm definitely not. You know, I'm doing like 3 chest days a week, and you know, I'm definitely like more cut up top than I used to be. I've been trying. I was like, oh, maybe I should do some triathlons, and started like running a little bit. I was doing like the run walk progression, and apparently I was overdoing it because I got tendonitis in my knee after 2 weeks of running. So I don't know about the lower body, but we're working on the upper body, and I can say that I'm already in a better place than where I was when I retired.
For that sprint career, baby.
Yeah, chest day every day.
Chest day every day. Now I know you've been working out with Justin for sure.
No, he walks to the weight room. I'm doing my own thing, but yeah, I am like starting to look like more of like a Dorito, especially with like the chicken legs coming in.
Oh, an upside down Dorito. All right. When will Stanford men win NCAAs again?
Ooh, good question. That's a good question. So this is a loaded question. If you would have asked me before the COVID additional year rule, I would have said like 2 years. But what we're seeing now is there's a lot of transfers that are going to already really good programs. And the difficulty with Stanford is that Stanford as an institution does not accept transfers. We have like 3 or 4 a year for the entire university.
Wow.
And so with that being said, I think that if that was not there, we would be at that level in the next 2 years. I think that rule is making it really, really difficult. You can already see it with, you know, Florida, Cal, Texas, like those teams getting those transfers, even NC State getting those transfers. That makes it all the more difficult to compete. I think that we can definitely be a top 4 team in the next 2 or so years, but maybe we can win a championship in 3 or 4. But yeah, I think that's hurting us just a little bit. Yeah.
I didn't know that about Stanford as an institution, that it's that wide. So, wow. Who would be your draft pick if you could poach a regular senior from the NCAA this year to go to Stanford? Who's number 1?
So graduating or like upcoming senior?
Either one.
Oh man. And I have anyone?
Yeah. Hypothetical.
Oh my goodness. This is really tough.
Got that draft board. You got to look at the whole NCAA, you know. But you got, is it Max McHugh? Would you poach him from Minnesota?
I don't know. There's so many names that are like, I don't even know what year they are because when I started, they were like in middle school.
Yeah, you are the old man.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's like my brain just like not being able to function because I'm getting so old, but I literally can't think. Like, I think there's too many names. Like McHugh is fantastic. Is Reese a 5th year? Or is he a senior? Like, I literally don't know.
Yeah, he's
I can't figure out.
Senior. Yeah, this year.
Yeah, I mean, like no one like
Kibler's got to be a high one.
Or like a redshirt senior, redshirt junior, redshirt. Like, can I just have anyone? Can I just like draft anyone in the world?
Yeah,
Caleb Dressel. Thank you,
Caleb.
Says the guy who went to college for 6 years. I'm sure everybody else is like, geez, how long is Grant Shoults going to be at Stanford?
Yeah, no, I got a lot of comments on like forums about like how old I am, and I don't know if you saw any of those, but apparently I'm like dating the moms in the stands, and I have a daughter, and all these things. So,
yeah, who do you think is the better message board legend, you or Dean Ferris?
Oh, definitely Dean. I mean, he's gotten memed so hard for so long. Like my memes have like been more recent, but not as thorough. His are like elaborate.
Yeah.
So I think that he takes the cake for sure.
So who would you put the throne? Who would you put on the throne for the next great message board meme star?
I think.
On your way out, you must anoint the next torchbearer.
I think Brooks Curry. I think that because he's such a likable guy and really like establishing the LSU program, I think that he would be a great candidate. The Bullets there, the Pit Vipers are there, the Jorts are there. I think that he is like amped, ready to go.
I love it.
All right. I love it. Do you pee in the pool?
I think that if you say that you don't, then you're a liar.
Agreed. Now that you're a retired swimmer, how often will you do social kick?
I do it just about every day. Yeah. Well, sometimes I'm swimming by myself, so I'll be social kicking by myself, but I enjoy the pace of it. It's a nice pace, especially on a nice day. So it's like an anti-social kick, but I definitely do enjoy it.
God, I hope you social kick faster than Luke does. He is the slowest social kicker in the world. Oh, man. Grant, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Best of luck to you and all your future endeavors. I sincerely hope that you develop mastery in the medical profession, and I'm sure you will. That's going to be a hell of a fun ride. So congrats, man. Cheers to you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this episode of Social Kick, and we'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it, and be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,